Dasyemano Bhagavati Shuddham Tat Kirtanadibi Mamaham iti deha dadao Hitva mityatadir matim Dasyemano Bhagavati Shuddham tat kirtanadibi. So in. Okay, ladies, anyone? Adam Namityata Dirmatim Dasyemana Bhagavati Shuddham Tat Kirtanadivi. That's all? Mamaham, my, aham, I, iti, thus, deha, thou, in the body and things related to the body. Hitva, giving up. Amritya, not false. Artha, on values. Di, with my consciousness. Matim, the attitude. Dasye, I shall engage. Mana, my mind. Bhagavati, on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shuddham, pure. Tat, his name. His name. Kirtana Adibi, by chanting and hearing, and so on. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Maganathemarandasya Jinanjana Salakaya Chakshura Miliyatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam class is for an oral reception. It's not for challenging at this point. If you challenge or you have some question, we can take care of that after class. We simply want to open the channel of hearing. Hearing means the audience must have a certain degree of submissiveness. There has to be a desire to hear. There has to be a desire to have the heart opened. And then the speaker becomes enlivened by that, and he's able to speak because the audience literally pulls out that transcendental reciprocation from the heart. So this is all connected. The Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna, the heart, and the audience is all one when it's acting in the appropriate and proper way. So any questions or challenges or things like that after class, please. Okay? Questions are okay afterwards. Challenges after. We can meet outside, you know what I mean? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation by Srila Prabhupada and purport. Simply because I chanted the holy name of the Lord in the association of devotees, my heart is now becoming purified. And therefore, I shall not fall victim again to the false lures of material sense gratification. Now that I have become fixed in the absolute truth, henceforward I shall not identify myself with the body. I shall give up the false conceptions of I and the body, and mine, things that belong to the body. And I will fix my mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. Very nice. It sounds like something we all should do. All right. The false lures of the material world were exemplified in the previous verse. That Ajamil, feeling very surrendered now, he has had the association of the Vishnu Dutas. He's seen their form. Now he has also seen the form of Lord Narayan. And he has chanted Lord Narayan's name. He had no intention of doing this. He was very much attached and very much attracted to the form of a woman in this material world. And by some great good fortune, he had one child late in life called Narayan. And so he was able to call out the name Narayan in a very desperate way because he was dying. Only in desperation and only with utter complete surrender to Krishna does Krishna actually appear and send his associates to rescue. So in this way, he called out the name of Lord Narayan in such a way that Lord Narayan sent his associates to rescue him. And when he saw them, and when he realized that he had actually been chanting Krishna's name, Lord Narayan's name, in such a pure way, all the illusion of the material world was immediately dispelled. He saw the form of Lord Narayan, he saw the forms of the Vishnu Dutas, and he chanted Lord Narayan's name in pure consciousness, not even intending to do so. And when we learned later on that Krishna gave him a little extra time to work things out, because he had a few things to work out. So, this brings us really to the point, and actually I should read Srila Prabhupada's purport before I begin to say anything. And mostly all my references that I'm going to reference today is directly from Prabhupada's books, and it really is an astonishing event when one reads Prabhupada's books and very carefully and very discreetly. So I'll read Srila Prabhupada's purport on this verse. How a living entity becomes a victim of material condition is lucidly explained in this verse. The beginning is to misidentify the body as oneself, and therefore Bhagavad Gita begins with the spiritual instruction that one is not the body, but is within the body. Everyone understands that, right? Nod your head in agreement. Everyone understands that they are the soul and the consciousness inside the body, that they're not this body. Is that correct? Everyone think they are their body? Does anyone out there think that they are their body? I want to know. Vanabhata, he's honest. So we want to get rid of this consciousness that I am this body. This body is not us. But we do have a pure consciousness that is within this body. That has to be revived. It's called pure Krishna consciousness. And it's revived by chanting the holy names. So I'll continue. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita begins with the instruction that one is not the body, but is within the body. This consciousness can be possible only if one chants the holy name of Krishna, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and always keeps oneself in the association of devotees. Did everyone hear that? That sentence is very, very important. You cannot do this on your own, especially in the very early stages. You have to earn. There is what's called solitary worship. That is when the soul comes to the point of having a direct relationship with Krishna. That is called solitary worship. You're able to actually be by yourself worshiping Krishna in a very intimate way. But before that takes place, which is very rare to begin with, we always need the association of others who are sincerely and seriously on the path of wanting to develop pure devotional service. Everyone understand? That is, you have to want to chant Krishna's names purely. Don't think this is like some kind of relaxed situation where you can just mumble off some mantras and then go about your daily duties. This has to be a concentrated, wonderful event in the heart. And as a matter of fact, one should be able to perceive his spiritual advancement on a daily basis in the right association of devotees. The right association of devotees is this. One has to be in like-minded company. That means they all have to be working for the same goal. The goal has to be focused upon every single day, talked about every single day. The chanting has to be discussed every single day. How can I chant better? How can I chant more sincerely? How can I chant in a more surrendered way? And such and so forth. That's what association is really about. It's not hanging out at the restaurant. That's not association. That's wasting time. Association with devotees means you take a certain group of devotees and they're serious about wanting to chant the holy names in a pure way. They're serious about wanting to understand who Krishna is. And they're serious about wanting to have a relationship with him. Srila Prabhupada established this temple for the purpose that any conditioned soul from anywhere in the world, in any condition, even the most wretched condition, can come to this place, and any place, so many places he established around the world, with the deities of Shri Gauranitai, Shri Krishna Balaram, and Shri Radhesham. You can take darshan and you can see Krishna every day, and you can talk to him also. You can reveal your heart. You can tell him what's going on. Tell him all your problems. You tell him all your problems anyway. because he's within your heart anyway, so he knows all your problems already. Main problem is we're not serious about chanting purely. Main problem is we don't want to really get serious about Krishna consciousness. We have other things we want to do. We want to mix it up with some karma. We want to mix it up with some gyan, right? Mostly in the Western world, we mix it up with karma. We want to make money. Money seems to be a very important thing. Does it really bring happiness? Has anyone found that money actually brings happiness? Nobody's raising their hand. What? Money does not bring happiness. And therefore, it's never recommended in any of our shastras that you should pursue money. So what is money used for then? Money is given by Krishna through the heart, for us, for our needs, and for spreading Krishna consciousness only. For ourselves, we should live the most simple life. Simple life. Even if we have $1 million, we should give that $1 million, first of all, give it away, give it to Krishna, and then we should live a very, very, very simple life. Preferred simplicity, as I like to say. We may have the option of living an opulent life, but we choose to live simply. Very, very simply. And this will enhance our dependency on Krishna. Give the money away. Money in the bank, no Krishna. Or very little bit. Very little. Depends on how much you have. If you have a lot, you're going to have a problem. What did Lord Jesus say? He said, verily can a man reach the kingdom of God as much as a camel can go through the eye of a needle. So this money, very problematic. And that's why all the great souls, they give it away. And they don't want anything to do with it. But obviously we're in a situation that Srila Prabhupada created to use that money to spread Krishna consciousness. Why? So all the other conditioned souls can also give away their money. And they can live a life of preferred simplicity also. Like us, but we have to set the example of living like that. We can't not just words, we have to do it by action. Actions speak much louder than words. Then, just like for instance, in these Vrindavan villages, everyone's talking about Vrindavan village. Vrindavan village is not based on money. Vrindavan village, the core value is Krishna only. Radha and Krishna. Everyone is just completely absorbed in thinking and speaking about and hearing about Krishna and Radha. That's it. There's no money involved. There's no money involved. It is only thinking about Radha and Krishna. So that's the true Vrindavan village spirit. All right. Well, I better continue on with the purport here. I don't want to get in trouble. The secret of success is chanting the Maha Mantra nicely and purely in association of devotees. Therefore, we stress that one should chant the holy name of the Lord and keep oneself free from the contaminations of this material world, especially the contaminations of lusty desires for illicit sex, meat-eating, intoxication, and gambling. With determination, one should vow to follow these principles and thus be saved from the miserable condition of material existence. The first necessity is to become freed from the bodily conception of life. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All right. Now, we get down to the essence of things, is what Ajamil is confronting his deepest and darkest attachment to the form of a woman and to the activities of mundane sex life. So this is a big problem for all conditioned souls. All conditioned souls are inclined towards, they have lusty desires. Even devotees on the path of bhakti in the beginning stages without attaining complete liberation are bothered and problematic with lusty desires. These things all have to be controlled. But then, there's even more than just controlling them. Like even the yogis, they will suppress these desires, and they will condense them deep inside, and they'll merged into Brahman, but because those desires still remain deep in a compact condition, someday those lusty desires will reemerge, and they'll again be victim to material activities. So how do we truly get free from this mundane sex life? There it is. Mundane sex life. How do we get free from it? There is a way. There is a way. Srila Prabhupada gives the way. And this is what Ajamil did. He saw the form of the Lord. He heard about His glories. He saw the associates, the Vishnu Dutas, and he chanted the holy names of Lord Narayan. And those desires now were his desires were now transferred towards Lord Narayan. All of his desires now were to serve Lord Narayan. And therefore, because he saw the form of Lord Narayan, because he had that association, and because he chanted in a pure way, he could leave behind the mundane sex desires. Do you understand? He could put away this desire for being with a woman and enjoying with a woman. So it's transferring. Just like yesterday when Prabhupada was speaking in that lecture, he said, we are composed of senses. The senses, we cannot dispose of them. We just have to redirect them. We have to redirect the senses towards Krishna. Okay? So, with that in mind, we will venture to Krishna book. This is the introduction of Krishna book. Now, sometimes there's some ideas, I have heard this one time or two, that we're not supposed to, venture into these pastimes of Krishna. And specifically, don't go to those intimate pastimes. Don't go to those intimate pastimes with the gopis. Very dangerous, very dangerous. But I want you to hear what Prabhupada says in the introduction of Krishna book. And then maybe this will alter your conception of exactly what we really do have to hear about, okay? To be able to transfer our desires from the mundane forms of this material world. There's a very beautiful description of this whole event that takes place. The ashraya, in the heart of the devotee is the ashraya. And in that, it's called the ashraya, the heart of the devotee. And deep inside there is love. There is a love that he gives to a vishaya. Now, in the material world, the vishaya is either a man or a woman, or a dog, or a child, or even a car can be the vishaya. Oh, I love my car. I have given everything to my car. But mostly it's another human being. So the vishaya, being, say, in the misconception of being in the body of a man, the vishaya would be the body of a woman. So in the heart of the man, the ashraya, the love that's there, he wants to repose it into that woman. And she also is going to repose that love into that man. And what takes place in between when those two hearts connect is called rasa. It's mundane rasa, but it's rasa. Okay? Same principle, same exact principle. So now, if you change the scene, and the ashraya is the heart of the struggling sadhaka devotee. You have a sadhaka devotee and he's struggling so hard, he's chanting so hard, and he wants to repose his love in this form. He no longer wants these forms in the material world, but he wants to repose his love into the form of Shyamasundar, for instance. So when that form becomes the vishaya, he becomes the object of your love, Krishna begins to reciprocate directly. So this channel is open between the heart of the devotee and Shyamasundar. And when that channel becomes opened, it's called rasa or mela. And then one becomes attracted to serving Krishna in one of the 5 rasas. But first you have to open the heart. You have to become attracted to Krishna. And how do you become attracted to Krishna is stated here in Krishna book. So we want to really make this very clear. You cannot get rid of material, mundane sex desire. As a matter of fact, Bhaktisiddhanta says, I read it very authoritatively. Bhaktisiddhanta has said that one cannot remove the desire for amorous love from his heart any more than consciousness itself. You cannot get rid of it. It's always going to be there. It is part and parcel, just like our senses are part and parcel of us. So that desire for amorous love is there. It's not going to change. Why? Because the ultimate Vishaya is Krishna. And Krishna wants you to direct that amorous desire towards him. And then you'll have complete and total satisfaction of heart. You'll never look back at this material world or look back at trying to enjoy anything in this material world again, including the body of a woman, which is, of course, the object of most enjoyment. It will evaporate. I'll read Srila Prabhupada's statement now. The purpose of presenting this book is primarily to induce people to understand Krishna, or Krishna Katha, because thereby they can become freed from material bondage. This Krishna Katha will also be very much appealing to the most materialistic persons, because Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, the cowherd girls, most materialistic persons, the gopis, cowherd girls, are exactly like the loving affairs between young boys and girls within this material world. Actually, the sex feeling found in human society is not unnatural, because the same sex feeling is there in the original personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna. Y'all listening? Take notes. The pleasure potency is called Srimati Radharani. The attraction of loving affairs on the basis of sex feeling is the original feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we, the conditioned souls, being part and parcel of the Supreme, have such feelings also. Being part, but they are experienced within a perverted and a minute condition. Therefore, when those who are after sex life in this material world hear about Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, they will relish transcendental pleasure, although it appears to be materialistic. Everybody listening? Looks like you're listening. Everybody's. I hope it's not too boring. We talk about these love and amour, and it's always interesting. The advantage will be that they will gradually be elevated to the spiritual platform. In the Bhagavatam, it is stated that if one hears the pastimes of Lord Krishna with the gopis from authorities with submission, then he will be promoted to the platform of transcendental loving service to the Lord, and the material disease of lust within his heart will be completely vanquished. Everybody taking notes? If you're not taking physical notes, take the notes in your heart. In other words, such hearing of the pastimes with Krishna and the gopis will counteract material sex life. Hare Krishna. Is everybody getting the picture here? Because this is very, 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 very important. It cannot be overlooked. Matter of fact, you will definitely come back into this material world again if the desire for mundane sex life still resides in the heart. There's no doubt about it. No matter how many mantras you chant, if the transference of the attraction for this material world and the bodies of this material world are not, if it's not transferred to the beautiful body and form of Shyamasundar and Radharani, then you will definitely have another go at it. This book, Krishna, which is filled with Krishna Katha, will thus appeal equally to the liberated souls and to persons who are trying to be liberated, as well as to the gross, conditioned materialist. And that's why I remember Andrew giving a class once. He said, we were passing out Krishna books at McDonald's restaurants. Hundreds and thousands of Krishna books at McDonald's restaurants. Do you think anyone there had any qualifications Do you think the people going to the drive-thru at McDonald's have some particular special spiritual qualifications? They're driving up to get hamburgers. They're driving up to eat the cow. And the devotees are there giving them Krishna book. Now, do you think they had any special qualifications? Well, you may say yes, because actually their qualifications were that they were the most fallen souls in Kali Yuga, and Lord Chaitanya was there to deliver them. That was their special qualification. The special qualification is they'd eaten thousands and thousands of McDonald's cheeseburgers. That was their special qualification. No qualification. There is no qualification. Absolutely no qualification whatsoever. As a matter of fact, the more fallen you are, the more qualified you are to receive the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. There can be no pretentiousness. You can't fool Krishna. Either you're genuinely fallen and you're genuinely serious and remorseful, and then you take the plunge into surrendering to Krishna completely. So sometimes the person who has committed the most heinous and gross sinful activities, they actually become the most eligible recipients of Lord Chaitanya's mercy, because they have actually hit rock bottom. So there was no qualifications for receiving the Krishna book. It's distributed to everyone and everywhere. I'm not finished yet. All right. Now, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, this is going to really blow your mind. This one's going to really blow your mind. It blew my mind. I mean, how many times I've read it, and yet so long ago. The very first verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. In the very first purport, and Srila Prabhupada writes, first purport of Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll repeat that. First purport of Srimad Bhagavatam. How important it is to understand this principle of sex and sex attraction and love, the desire for love. How important it is to understand that it's not false, it's simply misdirected. The objects in this world are not your objects of love. It can never be. But the object, Radha, Krishna, they are the true objects of our love. And once that love is reposed in them, everything will fall into place very, very wonderfully and magically. So I'll read Srila Prabhupada's a paragraph where Prabhupada is discussing this point. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur specifically deals with the original and pure sex psychology, Adi Ras, devoid of all mundane inebriety. The whole material creation is moving under the principle of sex life. In modern civilization, sex life is the focal point of all activities. Wherever one turns his face, he sees sex life prominent. Therefore, sex life is not unreal. Its reality is experienced in the spiritual world. Hare Krishna. Everybody hear that one? This is the first purport of Srimad Bhagavatam. The material sex life is but a perverted reflection of the original fact. The original fact is in the absolute truth, and thus the absolute truth cannot be impersonal. It is not possible to be impersonal and contain pure sex life. Consequently, the impersonal philosophers have overstressed the impersonality of the absolute ultimate truth. Consequently, man, without information of the actual spiritual form of sex, has accepted perverted material sex life as all in all. And that's why it's so hard to give it up in this material world. Because we've been infected with a horrible impersonal virus. We think that we are the Purushas. We think we are the actual enjoyers of this material world. And I'm not talking about men, I'm talking about women. Women also think they're the Purushas in this material world. None of us are Purushas in the material world. We are all Prakriti. We are the female principle, only designed to give Krishna pleasure, but we have to do it voluntarily. And as long as we don't do it voluntarily, we get stuck in these Purusha bodies, which we try to enact our own little pathetic, our own little pathetic worlds of lording it over this material creation. So we've been infected with this impersonal conception. And because we've accepted God as basically some vague, far away, impersonal kind of idea, He can't possibly have sex. He can't possibly be interested in that. Because look, He's given me all of these women to enjoy. He's given me all these men to enjoy. How is it possible? God can't be like that. But contrarily, as Srila Prabhupada said, no, Krishna is very much interested in love. He's very much interested in amorous activities. Not to get into any details, it's not necessary, but we know that Radha and Shyamasundar, they are very much in love. And they are actually one person, or simultaneously. Hare Krishna. So, this is the most astonishing thing. We have to confront this because this is the real problem. Without confronting this problem, this will keep us in the material world for a long, long time. All right, let me finish this. Consequently, man without information of the actual spiritual form of sex has accepted perverted material sex life as all in all. And if you don't see that in the material world, as the human civilization has concluded that the material sex life is all in all, then you haven't got eyes or ears. Because that's all there is. That's all there is. And now there is a distinction. This last line is amazing. There is a distinction between sex life in the diseased material condition and spiritual sex life. All right. I present my case. Anybody want to say anything? So, this condition of material existence is most troublesome. And we work like asses. Men work like asses to provide money for the ladies, to take care of the home, take care of children. And the whole life is spent just gathering money. And only really to be absolutely and totally disappointed at the end. Why? What's the point, isn't it? Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he addresses this point that I come into this world and it's a very difficult thing. I'm just a little lump in my mother's arms, and if she doesn't feed me, what am I going to do? If she doesn't feed me, I'm going to die. But then I grow up a little bit, and then I need this and I need that and I need this and need that. And if I don't build a house, I have no shelter. And if I don't, then I get my house, and then I get my wife, and then I get my children, and before you know it, life is over. It goes by very, very quickly. And one is at the end of life, then you have everything is taken away. And you're left with absolutely nothing but heartache and disappointment. Well, I think we've covered a couple points. So, basically, to recap, this material body is not us. And the spiritual affairs that's being discussed can never be done or enacted, please, with these material bodies. Krishna is 100% transcendental person, and he has nothing to do with these ugly material bodies that we possess, okay? So there is no way to attract Krishna with these bodies, okay? You just can't attract Krishna with these bodies. But right now, right this very moment, everyone is designing their next life. Do you know that? You're going to have a next life, and you're designing it right now. How? By your attraction to something. You know, the astrologers say they see the charts of married couples, and they look at the chart and they go back and they go back. Oh, he was the woman back here, and she was the man. Look, no, she was the man there, and he, like that. They go back and forth, changing bodies. Why? Because of the attachment to that form. The Vishaya has to become Krishna. Do you understand? The attraction, the love that you have in your heart has to go to Him. There is no other way. There is no better way to become free from this material world but through bhakti, pure bhakti. Giving that love that you have in your ashraya, in your heart, giving it to Krishna. And then what happens? Do you think that a boy and a girl who have fallen in love, they have to figure out intellectually what to do? Do you think that they have to actually wonder what is their next step? No, it's completely spontaneous. They can't stop thinking about one another. They're actually completely involved in love in their own little bubble, so to speak. And it's a completely spontaneous affair. There's nothing that has to be thought about. They're just attracted to each other. That's the same attraction that we have to have for Krishna. That a spontaneous love, an attraction for Him. And you know what happens? Krishna also develops a spontaneous attraction for you, but not in this body. It has to take place in the heart. It has to be, this all takes place in the heart, inside, not outside. Everyone understand? Hare Krishna. Okay. Is this a comment? A question? No. All right, we can go at it now. Put on our boxing gloves. I don't think Maharaj is he's not going to box with me. I hope not. He's much bigger than I am.
The purpose of sex indulgence is for procreation. To bring new souls into the planet. To bring souls in that are devotees. And we can please Krishna in these bodies. That's what Bhakti Yoga is all about. You know? We can serve the Lord in so many wonderful ways that pleases Him in any rasa we are. So
yes, yeah, that's true. No, you're absolutely right. I just didn't get to that point. But it was coming somewhere down the line. Of course, we're stuck. We have material bodies in this material world. There's no way to ignore that fact. So we have to actually make best advantage of a difficult situation, so to speak. We can become very wonderful devotees with restraining the sex impulse and using it only to produce pure Krishna conscious children. I have no problem with that. No, so please don't think I was getting to that point. But we want to be sure, because there's no way to put a complete halt on procreation. We're not trying to do that. But there has to be an understanding of the transcendental affair that is actually, we have to capture it within our heart. Now, this can be done in any situation. And it can be done as a grahastha, it can be done as a brahmachari, it can be done, of course, as a sannyasi. In all situations, the sex impulse has to be restrained. And in the case of brahmachari and sannyas, eliminated and completely controlled. So, and Prabhupada even said like that. He said that I am creating householders, but they are also brahmacharis. They are also sannyasis. Because they are also controlling their senses, supposedly. And they're bringing forth only Krishna conscious children. And that is the ideal way of utilizing the situation that we are in this material body, and using it, yes, to please Krishna in that way. And therefore we begin to build the whole Varnashram system so that everyone can be enveloped in this concept and understanding. Actually, Prabhupada said in these villages, if you just do these farms nicely, and you place Radha and Krishna in the center of your village, everyone becomes Krishna conscious. And he says, if you do these projects correctly, he said, the whole world will surrender to Krishna. So what does that mean? That means that we have to have ideal living situations in which we can bring the friends and conditioned souls and so forth who are interested people to our projects to show them, this is how you can live. This is how you can live. This is how we live. We don't have to go out and be in so much anxiety in the city. We live in this beautiful village, and we worship Radha and Krishna every day. We have kirtan 24 hours a day, right? That's how it should be. We should have our own towns. We should have, like the Amish have, like in America, the Amish are very famous for having their own communities, and they have their own rules. They live completely on their own rules. Even though they live in America, they follow the government rules and so forth. But they're famous for living by their own standards in their own towns, in their own villages and so forth. We should have been doing this. Prabhupada this is a very, very important point because Prabhupada wanted this so very, very badly. He said, matter of fact, I made a little booklet, it's called At Any Cost, Do It. What did Prabhupada mean by that? At any cost, do it. Build these villages. Because he wanted all the devotees to live simply, to live in an environment which will facilitate more and more chanting. Prabhupada said, always chanting should be our motto. Always chanting, no matter what we're doing. So if we live in our own villages, and then there's no need to go to the cities to earn money and to have these horrible jobs and have to deal with horrible bosses and have to deal with people who are absolutely not interested in Krishna whatsoever. The kind of people that you actually would ignore if you didn't have to work for them. Isn't it? So we have to create these villages. Radha and Krishna in the center. There's no other way to do it what's a Vrindavan village? Hello. What's a Vrindavan village without Radha and Krishna? It's not Vrindavan. So these Vrindavan villages have to have Radha and Krishna in the center. And I will take one little thing. At Murari in Tennessee, we now have the wonderful presence and darshan of Shri Radhe Shyam. They are exactly the same size as Radhe Shyam. Here it's a whole other story, but it's a very wonderful event that took place there. And of course we have big Gaurnitai deities as well. And everyone is just absorbed in that beautiful consciousness of serving Radha and Krishna. And that's what a Vrindavan village is like. And nobody gets paid, nobody has any pay. And we simply rely entirely upon Krishna. Mostly we do kirtan programs and things like that, and people give donations. And this is how we live. This is how we live. We don't have jobs. Nobody takes there's no salaries. We have cows, therefore we have milk, we have yogurt, we have butter, we have ghee. We have everything imaginable. We grow of our own food. And so we have everything. Prabhupada said, 1 acre and a cow and some land and a little hut, and all your economic problems are solved. And this is true. So we're actually living it, but we still have much more structure. We need more structure to develop it more and more. But I have some brochures if anyone would like to look at it after the program. Now I'm done. Prabhupada, Hare Krishna. I don't know your new name. Thank you.
It's kind of late now, so just I'll put it in the form of a very brief comment. It's just that we have to be careful. I think most of the devotees here are aware of these distinctions. But now you mentioned that the sex just has to be redirected. But there's a different kind of nature. There's a difference between lust and love. Even though the same word sex may sometimes be used for spiritual romantic relations. The idea of dovetailing in married life, that one has some material desire, but you do that according to religious principles, that's one level. Then on the next level, you have someone like Kucha. She was directing her lust. She wanted to have sex with Krishna.
Right.
That's another level. And that's, in one sense, very elevated. She became immediately purified. Krishna even straightened her out. And then you have the so-called sex of the gopis. So it says the gopis were lusty desires. They had elation. They had complete concentration on Lord. So even though the language is the same, we hear lusty desires, we hear sex, but we have to see it in context that there are very different levels. Some are very high tattva, very elevated, and some are just the level of dovetailing. So I just wanted to make that.
Oh, that's very nice. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Yes, we have to always keep these distinctions in mind. Like I said, these things are not to be enacted on the material, with the material body and in this condition that we're in. We really have to restrain for the most part and just pray to Krishna for surrender, pray to Krishna to accept us as his servants. Any other comments or Janardhan Maharaj? I know the boxing gloves are coming out now.
I just want to mention that before the heart changes, the body has to use for Krishna's service.
Yes.
The mind has to be purified.
Yes.
Intelligence has to be sharp.
Great.
Ego has to be wiped out.
Wiped out. As I say, crushed to powder.
And the heart will change.
The false ego has to be crushed to powder. Whatever we think we are, whatever value we think we have, has to be completely crushed. You cannot approach Krishna in any kind of way thinking that you have anything to offer. You have to be completely free from any conception of other than just utter, total humiliation in front of Krishna. Everyone enjoy the class? Hare Krishna. I enjoyed it too. Didn't have to put on the boxing glove. That was good. Well, thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai.